Hey guys, Corth Camel ADV. We're going to do our Camel ADV gut guard skid plate install on this Norden 901 tonight. The install is very straightforward. It shouldn't take you more than 45 minutes. No special tools required. Let's get at it. So your skid plate includes the main lower plate. We do this as a two-piece. So by making this two-piece, we can reduce shipping costs, which means that the price to you guys is cheaper than it would be if we had to double the size of the shipping box. Then obviously we have to be able to recoup that. So this is a space saver more than anything. There's an added bonus that you can leave the upper section on when you go to do an oil change. You can split the plate here and take these bolts out, take the lower off, but leave the upper. So that's a nice added bonus with this. We have our heavy-duty rear mounting plate, a couple of spacers, some fastener packs, some decals, and paperwork. Make sure that you read the paperwork that comes in your kit. If there are any changes to the kit or any changes to the bike, we're not going to shoot an all-new install video. If it's small changes, we're just going to include a note in the paperwork, so it is very important that you read it. I recommend that you have a magnetic parts tray. Well, it doesn't need to be magnetic, just a parts tray. Handy, there's a lot of fasteners that come out for the tank protectors and all the plastic bits and pieces, so it's good to be able to keep those organized. So at the bottom of the tank protector, we've got a T30 and a 10 mil nut. So a wrench on the nut. I like to use a screwdriver for these fasteners rather than using a ratchet. If you look here, there is a hose. It's a purge hose for the secondary air system, the charcoal canister, and you're just going to grab it and give it a little pull. And give this a wiggle. There's a rubber T-mount here that slides up into a slot in the tank. So when you do this, these guards are just going to drop off the bottom. And we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. Again with the 10 mil. And leave these three again. Come to the front for these two, which are a little on the loose side already. We're going to come to the front. There's 4 Euro head fasteners here. We're going to pop these off. We're going to come to the underside of the bike. There are actually 5 fasteners down here. We're only going to concern ourselves with the back 2. And then we can take the factory skid plate and set it wherever it's going to live forever. We're never using anything else off this, so we can set it aside. So we're going to install our rear mounting bracket, and it mounts up to these locations here. So we're going to take a T45 socket, and we're going to take this bolt out on each side. We're going to take the spacer out. We're going to set it aside. We're not going to use that again. We're going to go to the other side and do the same thing. So same with this guy. Back this out. And pop that spacer out. So this one, there's a secondary bolt up top here, and it doesn't hold the spacer in, but it squeezes this all together. So the spacer can be a pain to get out unless you back this other bolt off. Gives you just enough slack to wiggle this out. So we're going to take our mounting bracket and slide it up into this opening here, and we're going to put a dab of blue Loctite on here first. We're going to get this bolt started. We're not going to totally tighten it up though. And you do want to work fairly quickly because we don't want that Loctite to set up before we come back and totally tighten it. So again, we're going to take our spacer and we're going to slide it between the bracket. This can be a bit of a chore to get this in here. So the spacing between the foot peg mounts can vary quite a bit from bike to bike. When we started doing these skid plates on the 790s in 2019, the distance was about 232 millimeters. And then in 2020, the distance was anywhere between that 232 and 237. Like 5 millimeters is 3/16. It's a lot. So we have slowly been opening up our bracket as the years go on. We are, I think, at 235, 234 and a half, 235 right now, which seems to be the sweet spot. Your foot peg mounts where this bracket is attaching may be a little bit narrower or a little bit wider, but we should be in the ballpark within a mil, but you may have to wiggle that spacer to get it in. If it's really being a pain in the ass, you might have to loosen that bolt and that bolt before putting this bracket in to get them to flare out just enough to fit. It just depends on what day of the week your bike was built. And the reason we're not totally tightening these is there are slotted holes here on the mount. So we just want to make sure that we have some adjustability back and forth when we go to put the main section of the skid plate on. All right, we're going to go into our fastener packs here. And there are 4 flathead M6 by 16 bolts. And we are going to attach the upper to the lower. As always, I recommend a little bit of blue Loctite. I'm going to grab the rest of our fasteners and our Loctite and head over to the bike lift. Just going to lift the skid plate into position, grab one of the bolts, get it started, one of the next bolt started, and then on the other side. We're going to come to the bottom, grab our M8 countersunk bolts, again, blue Loctite. And we're just going to get these started one by one. And again, remember that this the bracket will move back and forth a little bit, which is why we left it loose. And once all 4 are started, we can go around and tighten them up. Like so. We're going to come to the front, we're going to tighten these, do a final tighten. So we're going to come down to the foot peg brackets here and give this stuff a tighten. We're going to take our right side tank cover, slide this rubber tee into the fitting here, or into the cutout, slide it up. So it kind of stays on its own as soon as you do that. So we're going to take our Euro head bolts. We're going to use these instead of the Torx head. These are about 3 millimeters longer, so it's a little bit easier to get them engaged than it is with the factory length ones. And then again at the bottom, we're going to take the supplied bolts, flange nuts. So the flange nuts are nice because you can put them in the wrench and you can put a little pressure against them to hold it to where you need it to be when you're trying to get everything started. And then we can plug our purge line back into the hole on the guard here. And we can go around to the other side and do the same thing. Don't be alarmed when you get to the end and you have a bunch of leftover fasteners. Totally normal. We're replacing so many of these with our own fasteners of different lengths, so don't be concerned about that at all. That wraps up the install video for our gut guard skid plate on the Norden 901. If you have any questions, as always, info@camel-adv.com. Thanks for watching.